Welcome back to the program. Time for us to take a look at the front pages of some select national dailies this morning. Give you a sense of what the stories are like today, being Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. We start with a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today. The big story is talking about NLC CSOs rejecting the new cyber security levy. Serap threatens to sue the federal government. It's additional burden on Nigerians, according to experts. In other news, 11 months after federal government yet to reconstitute varsity governing councils. More on this story on page 10. Elsewhere, despite 30 billion naira renovation, Senate chamber lacks voting devices, alongside many of the other things that Senator Alin Dume said about how it looks more like a conference room or hall than a parliamentary chamber. So more on his thoughts as well as what he had to say regarding this new refurbished Senate chamber on page 12. Tinubu's first year in office, propelling Nigeria towards renewal. What this story is about is obviously highlighting the Tinubu's first year in office, as well as some of the deliverables, I guess. On page 16, you can find more on that if you are interested. The Nation is up next, so let's take a look at the front page of The Nation. Olubadan, coast clears for Olakunlehin. Ladoja withdraws suit. Okay, so the coast is clear now, and that legal battle appears to be over. Relocate people from flood-prone areas. NEMA tells 33 governors. UBA consolidates with 110% gross earnings growth. CBN extends suspension of cash deposit charges. I think they say from now to September, I beg your pardon. I think that's how the story goes. More on that on page 7. 2024 oil bid round for only investors with technical know-how, says Lokbugberi, that's the State Minister for Petroleum Resources. ECOWAS forced to battle terrorism in Nigeria. Others, sub-regional body sourcing $2.4 billion to raise counter-terrorism troops. More on that, especially on the back of the recent conversation around military bases here in Nigeria, fallen military bases here in Nigeria. APC Rivers directs lawmakers to impeach Fubara. Let's take a look at The Guardian finally. And federal government shuns financial inclusion, imposes more taxes on citizens, depositors. I think the citizens are also depositors, I guess. Page 6 has more on that, a breakdown of depositors' taxes over the years. That infographic is going to show you more. Now, there's also the breakdown of the value of electronic payment in the past 8 years. Now, I guess this is why the government is milking this, because we went from 62 trillion in 2016 to a little over 600 trillion naira. And I think the government is smelling blood in the water. It's like, there's a lot of money on electronic charges and transactions. So let's dig deeper and see how much more we can make. So people are going cashless, and I suppose that's why the CBN is using it as an avenue to generate a lot more revenue. NERC's highest tariff review for discos, light or darkness. I think there's a news analysis on the pages of the Guardian newspaper. But in other news, federal government certifies Tinubu fit, explains absence. Yeah, he's been away for quite some time, but I think they say he's going to return today also. I wish the president, good health, obviously. And we hope to have him back soon. UBA's profit hits 142.5 billion naira in the first quarter of this year. Petrol price to rise as federal government struggles to sustain supply. What did I tell you? There's no certainty at this point in time. Finally, fake doctor nabbed in Lagos with forged OAU NMDC certificates. Good one there for the authorities, shutting this guy down. Well, let's get right into the analysis of the news this morning. Join us on Wednesday, as always, is Mr. Ben Sherman, former Director of News, the Voice of Nigeria, and the evergreen news analyst who is turning into a security expert. And I dare say he added a touch to accentuate his look this morning, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. He's looking more like a security expert than a journalist right now, who is a veteran. But good morning, Mr. Ben.
Good morning, Abdullahi. My eyeglasses have always been in this pocket.
Yeah, but you've never had to wear them. You look like a retired colonel at this point.
Well,
that's how they all look.
Sometimes you call me Mr. Wednesday. You know that with this, if I were to be a female, you call me Laraba. So anything can go.
Anyway, let's start off with the cybersecurity levy. It has got on people's nerves. Nigerians are not happy about it, at least judging from public opinion. Where do you stand on this? The CBN is saying this is an effort for us to address our cybersecurity gaps, to fund the NSA, to fund the security agencies to deal with, this ever-changing landscape. Where do you stand on this?
Well, incidentally, I think that every other person who is saying it is wrong, it's anti-people, it is anti-this, as a student of criminology, reading some aspects of cybercrime, I stumbled onto this, and I remember writing an assignment on something like this. If you check the Cyber Crimes Act 2015, prevention and all that stuff, look, section 44, 1 A or so, is simply saying there has to be levy, cybercrime levy. And some companies have been listed that they must pay levies. And if the law has been there at 2015 and people have been sleeping over it, now a government has come to say, oh, so we can do this. If we can, then let us try. And truly, it is just there. It is the law. So when people say we've got given the federal government so number of days to rescind the decision, that law has to be amended. Outside that, you can only appeal to government and say the time is not right. Time is not right because there are too many taxes people are paying. Now, if you say MTN, for example, without sounding advertorial, or big hotels, anytime you do some electronic transfers, of course you have to pay some 0.005% of that amount. And of course, those companies will simply pass the burden to the consumers, to everyone. If you say telecom companies should pay so amount, they'll transfer it to you. Abdullah, you could want to call your brother in Katsina, and as soon as you finish, you want to cut off. The line will still going, you are seeing your units going, you want to cut off, it will refuse to go. They are already removing that same tax from your money. So they will find ways of getting their money from consumers.
Yeah, some of the callers we had this morning were arguing, saying that we've not seen value for much of the taxes that we're already paying. And right now there are like 5 different forms of taxation or levies on electronic charges. You have your stamp duties, you have your transfer fees that the bank charge you from your account to others. You have also some of these deposit fees. I know I get charged sometimes when money's coming to my account, they take 15 naira or so stamp duty. You also have the SMS charges and all of these other charges attached to it, at least 5 of them, in addition to the recent one that has been added. And people are just saying it just doesn't make any sense, that the taxation is just way too much, and you're putting a strain on not just the people, but on their well-being.
Yes. Now you see, added to that, like when you have this point of sale, people are just simply selling money. Abdullah, here you are, you send money to someone, the bank has charged you. POS operator is also saying my charge is this. You are again charged. It's the same taxation we're seeing all over the place. I mean, before coming to this place, around Bega Junction, you just see that some people in maroon red t-shirts, some jeans, looking so rugged, they just dive into the road, block a vehicle in the middle of the lane, and say that one you have to clear and cause all sorts of traffic jam in the name of we want to generate money for FCT. I think it is wrong as it is wrong. When people say we want to see value for all this taxation, I'll simply remember when Fashola was governor of Lagos State. Around Alausa area, when construction works were going on, I mean, lanes were reduced to just one, and vehicles were passing one after the other. You could see traffic jam. But you just see a billboard saying, "We apologize for this inconvenience, but this is where your tax is working." Then the next thing is, have you paid your tax? Sometimes you now feel, okay, let me pardon them, it's for my good. Now, you juxtapose that with Edo those days when Oshimole was governor. In Benin, right inside the city there, you could see some terrible, terrible roads. Now, you also see a billboard. What does it say? The inscription is, "This is a federal road." Right inside Benin City. Meanwhile, the voters there are living both sides of the road. So I think these are contradictions. But in all of this, we want where when you pay taxes, I mean, you begin to see some benefits. I saw some guys going to UBA the other time. As soon as the guy parked, then somebody approached him and said, "How long will you be there? These are your charge." The guy said, "No, don't charge me. There is space inside the bank." Then he left and entered. In other words, everywhere you go, you are just being taxed. Road Safety Corps, VIO, they're told that early in the morning till 10 a.m., please assist in controlling traffic. Now you can start your checking of papers, anything after 10 up to 4. 4 o'clock you stop. By 4 down, you begin to assist in traffic control. But here you are, these people in FCT, they don't just mind no matter how heavy the traffic is. They just go to the middle lane, they've seen a jeep, they've seen a pickup, or they've seen a woman carrying some toiletries, they just believe this is a commercial, they just block her, block every other person, "Madam, park this way," then the argument will ensue. So is that how to actually do taxation? And when people talk of, government talks of what they say, tax incentives. If you come in here, our tax system is so friendly, tax waivers, we give you some moratorium on your investments and all that stuff. Now, when they come and they see all these contradictions, I think it doesn't
discourages,
it discourages, honestly.
And I think we've seen that over the years, where the business environment itself is not.
In fact, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria will always be saying all of this.
Exactly. 11 months after the federal government is yet to reconstitute varsity governing councils, and we know how important the governing councils are to the running of our universities. But 11 months down the line, what's going on? We could say the same thing about our foreign embassies, for instance. We still don't have our ambassadors.
Exactly. We don't have ambassadors. 2 weeks ago, they appointed chargé d'affaires, and they all are the ones to take charge of embassies, which is wrong. In terms of negotiations, when we're talking of ambassadors or high commissioners bringing in investors, you just see that people of lower rank at once they'll be dealing with home countries over there. I think it's not the best. So you're talking about the governing councils. The moment you would want to dissolve, or a tenure is ending, you must have appointed. People are waiting to assume duties there. You now leave.
This is supposed to be like clockwork, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not something that is
non-stop at all. It's like it's like the heart of the human being. It must not stop working for a second. Or when you say a clock has stopped working, you just say, "Oh, it's abnormal." A clock must work around as it is.
And especially if you consider the operations of the university, there are certain things that only the governing council can approve.
Exactly.
Going forward.
Exactly.
So imagine.
So you now left some sole administrators in the name of some VCs who will just take action and say, "Well, I don't have." And if they don't take action, it also means that many things will suffer. And if they do take action, they say, "Look, this ought to have been done by a council." So you are left within
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the new chambers of the National Assembly, both the House of Representatives or House of, the House of Representatives or the Nigerian Senate. And I think we have the pictures from Sagi's report to show. But Ali Ndume is not particularly impressed with the amenities and how the entire thing looks. But more importantly is that it cost Nigeria 30 billion naira. And I see the new look, and I'm not impressed. What do you make of it? Is this an upgrade?
I mean,
that is worth it? 30 billion?
When Abacha, of all people, built that National Assembly, Abacha of all people, built that. And even created what you call the National Human Rights Commission. And let's not talk about Abacha. But when you look at the way it was conceptualized at that time, it's a thing that will stand the test of time. But if you now say, okay, let's do some reworkings inside because there are some leaking, yes, there's time, there's room for what you call maintenance. But when you are doing some maintenance, and the thing is more than even building a very new one. That's why Ali Ndume is talking about. And you look at the British Parliament, it's been there, so small, cute,
simple,
and very simple. But here we are, a senator needs an office, he needs a chamber, he needs private consulting rooms, and the sitting arrangement at the point they say, this is not conducive for a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic. You are complaining about your sitting arrangement when indeed, marauders, talking about terrorists, people engage in violent crimes, they are busy destroying Nigeria. You are fighting over seats, you are doing over. And if truly over 30 billion is spent on this, and the senators are complaining, then it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be looked into. And of course, we're wondering how that would change the life of a demand in Ijebu water site or even Maiduguri,
exactly.
area.
Exactly. Just before we wrap things up, 33 states are under the radar. On the radar of NEMA, who are warning of flooding this year, and they say 25 of them are at high risk level. They are urging people to move to higher grounds, but year in, year out, we have these natural disasters that we have to deal with, especially when it comes to flooding. But it doesn't appear that we have the solution yet. What are your thoughts about it, very briefly, before?
Yeah, you see, briefly, the warning has been long, and year in, year out, we experience this. And when they say don't build along waterway, don't block the site, it becomes an issue. People should just believe in what Nemet is saying. And I see that sometimes when government will bring the very big hammer, the interpretation becomes one kind. That's what is happening in Plateau now.
Right.
Caleb Mufang is busy doing some demolitions. Said, look at water has been here, and year in, year out, down to Langtan area or Yalwa and all that. You could see that every time you have these floods. When they warn you, you now say this is free land, unoccupied, you can go build your mansion, and in the end you're saying government should compensate you before you leave. When you are going in there, did government give you the land? And also one that those in charge of inspections, physical developments, they should always, the moment they see digging of foundations starting, they should go and just put their stop work there.
Yeah, okay, interesting, but they say to be forewarned is to be forearmed, but it looks like even the things that we can avoid from happening end up happening at the end of the day. Quite unfortunate. But we're going to have to leave it here for now. Mr. Benjamin, as always, thank you very much for the analysis. Thank you for your viewpoints. Thank you for stopping by, as always.
My pleasure.
And the glasses look dapper on you, by the way. Just for feedback.
Somebody said Umaru Diko.
Okay, I don't know.
One said Abacha.
I don't know about Umaru Diko. But anyway, thank you most kindly for joining us on today's edition of Daybreak. We'll be back tomorrow live at 8, exclusive as always on Trust TV. Until then, but it's goodbye from me and the rest of the team. Stand by for 360 Sports coming up at the top of the hour with Emmanuel Fashion. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good morning.